see an important result which is called uniform extension theorem. Let X and Y be metric spaces and D is a dense subset of S. F is a map from D to Y which is uniformly continuous, and if the codomain Y is complete, then there exists a uniformly continuous function g from X to Y such that g of X equal to f of X for all X in D. So there are around 7 steps involved in the proof of the theorem. We will see the proof now. Suppose I choose a point X in D. So because for a point X in D, already the map is defined, which is f of X. F of X. So but we would like to find an extension for this f, and later we want to show that extension is uniformly continuous on entire X. So there is no problem for a point X is in D. So we need to define the function, a function g for a point which is not D. So I choose a point X not in D which is in X. So as D is a dense subset, so there exists a sequence Xn in D such that Xn converges to X. In other words, D of Xn comma X converging to 0. As this Xn is a convergent sequence in D, therefore this is a Cauchy sequence in D, and F is what is given? Given that F is uniformly continuous. F is uniformly continuous on D. And this Cauchy sequence goes to a Cauchy sequence in Y. Therefore, we have a Cauchy sequence f of Xn in Y. But what is given? So another assumption we have is Y. This Y is complete. This Y is complete. This is a Cauchy sequence, therefore it converges to some element, say Y, in Y. So this Cauchy sequence converges. Suppose I define a map G for this X. G is taken to be Y. So I have chosen a point X not in D which is in X. I have defined G of X is equal to Y. So now there is an issue whether this map is well defined or not. Because there exists a sequence Xn in D such that Xn converges to X. But it may happen that there exists some other sequence, say Xn prime in D. It can happen that this Xn prime in D is also converging to X. In this case, Xn prime will become a Cauchy sequence, then f of Xn prime will be a Cauchy sequence in Y, and it may not converge to a Y, it may converge to some other element, say Y prime. So then I cannot take G of X as Y because there exists a sequence Xn prime in which its image may converge to some other point. So to say this map is well defined, we need to show this Y and Y prime are same. So let us calculate, to prove this Y and Y prime are same. So we are going to prove this D of the metric is rho of Y comma Y prime is less than epsilon for any epsilon greater than 0. So I start with an epsilon, let epsilon greater than 0 be given. So now I start with rho of Y comma Y prime. By using triangle inequality, we have rho of Y comma f of Xn plus rho of f of Xn prime plus rho of Xn prime comma Y prime. So this argument is called epsilon by 3 argument. Already we have seen the proof of a continuous function on a compact set which is uniformly continuous. So here f of Xn converges to Y. and f of xn prime converges to y prime, and we need to have some relation of this. Remember, this xn prime are in D. The given function is uniformly continuous on D. Therefore, for this epsilon, because remember both are for the sequences xn and xn prime are converging to the same element x. Therefore, the conclusion is, as these two sequences are converging to same element x, then we have d of xn, xn prime converges to 0. As we have seen from the characterization of uniform continuity, if this happens for a uniformly continuous function, then we have rho of f of xn and f of xn prime is also converging to 0. We have this. So each one of them is converging to 0. So this is a sequence of real number, each one is a sequence of real numbers. So if I use epsilon, if we start with an epsilon, I can find a natural number, say n1, such that this quantity is less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to n. For this, because f of xn prime converging to y prime, therefore I can find another sequence, I can find a stage n2 such that if we choose any n greater than or equal to this n2, then this becomes less than epsilon for all n greater than or equal to n2. Similarly, this sequence we have shown by using the uniformly continuity of f on D. As this sequence converges to 0, we can find a stage n such that we can find a stage n3 such that so all of them are less than or equal to epsilon, less than epsilon from that stage onwards. So I want to have all. I want to have. Remember, each one is a. I want to have all. So if I choose n as maximum of n1, n2, n3, I could write this, each one of them is less than epsilon. So the total, so if I want to have a less than epsilon, then we could have found the stages for these convergences for epsilon by 3, for epsilon by 3, for epsilon by 3. Then this relation is true for all n greater than or equal to maximum of these three entries. Maximum of these three entries, n1, n2, n. Remember, the left side is independent of n. Therefore, we have shown d of y, rho of y comma y prime is less than epsilon for all epsilon greater than 0. So this proves that rho of y comma y prime is 0. So since rho is a metric, therefore y and y prime are same. Therefore, we can define g as g of x is equal to y. This map is well defined. So the only thing is we need to show this g is uniformly continuous on entire x. So what we have uniformly continuity on the dense subset D. So if I choose any point A and B in D, if I start with any epsilon greater than 0, let epsilon greater than 0 be given. So we can find a delta greater than 0. We can find delta greater than 0 such that if I choose any A and B in D and D of A comma B less than delta implies rho of f of A, f of B is less than epsilon. So now I choose two arbitrary points x and y in x. For this epsilon, we need to find a delta. So as this D is a dense subset, let us choose the same delta, check whether this relation happens for any xy. Here x and y are chosen in the set x. As x and y are in x, implies there are sequences say xn in xn and yn xn and yn in D such that this xn converges to x and yn converges to y. Yn converges to y. Okay. As xn converges to x, yn converges to x, so they are Cauchy sequences and f is uniformly continuous on D, therefore the image also Cauchy sequence. So f of xn is a Cauchy sequence, as y is complete, it converges to some element u in y. And similarly f of yn is converging to some. So by the definition of G, therefore G of x is u and G of y is v. Remember, we started with two elements and we were able to find two sequences in D such that they are converging, and therefore G of x is u and G of y is v. Now the claim is, whenever the distance between x and y is less than delta, if we choose same delta, whether it works out or not we can check, and we will see whether rho of f of x and f of y is less than epsilon or not. Not yet for G. So from the definition of G, G of x is nothing but u and G of y is nothing but d. Suppose we start with d of xy is less than delta. Now claim is, now we need to claim as rho of G of x and G of y is less than epsilon. That is, G of x is u, that is, we need to prove rho of u comma v is less than epsilon. This we prove easily because rho of uv is less than, or again by using epsilon by 3 argument, which is rho of u f of xn plus rho of f of xn f of yn plus rho of f of yn and f of y. F of d. As f of xn, xn and yn are converging to x and y. Since f of xn converges to u and f of yn converges to v, then by the definition of G, we have G of x equal to u and G of y equal to v. So we need to prove rho of uv is less than epsilon. Now we use the epsilon by 3 argument again. Rho of u comma v is less than or equal to rho of u f of xn plus rho of f of xn comma f of yn plus rho of f of yn comma v. By using the triangle inequality we have this. Each one of them is converging to 0. Therefore, if we apply for epsilon by 3, we get several stages. Left side is independent of that. Finally, we can show rho of u comma v is less than epsilon. So this proves that the function g which is an extension of f from the dense subset D to the whole space capital X, is uniformly continuous. Now we see one more stronger concept of continuity, which is called Lipschitz continuity. If we extend these Lipschitz continuities are very much useful in norm spaces. If anybody knows the definition of boundedness of a map, linear map from between the norm linear spaces, then you can observe that this is nothing but the Lipschitz continuity. What is the definition of Lipschitz continuity? X and Y be metric spaces and F is a map from X to Y is said to be Lipschitz continuous. There exists K greater than 0 such that rho of F of X comma F of Y is less than or equal to K times of D of XY for all X and Y in X. This number K is called Lipschitz constant, and any real number larger than this K is also a Lipschitz constant. So though there could be several Lipschitz constants for the function. So this constant K, positive constant K, which is strictly less than 1, then this function is called contraction, sometimes it is called strong contraction. And there is in the Lipschitz condition, instead of inequality, if we have equality and K is taken to be 1, then the map is called isometry. So isometry preserves distances. So if you have an isometry between two metric spaces, then it must be injective and inverse also isometry. So if there are two metric spaces X and Y, if there is a bijective map and the map is also isometry, then these spaces are same, exactly same. So that is the space is just a relabeling of the domain. Otherwise, if the F is not necessarily surjective, then Fx is merely a relabeling of X. And we know very well every metric space can be completed and you can find a completion. And if you have any two completions, they are isometric to each other. So these isometrics are behaving much better than Lipschitz continuous function, because instead of inequality we have equality. So this condition for Lipschitz, for a real valid function whose domain is a subset of R, if the subset is taken to be interval, then the relation 1 becomes this. The term inside the modulus is nothing but the slope of all line segments joining any two points on the graph over the interval. So this says the slopes are bounded by some number. If we draw a line, if we find its slopes between any 2 points over the interval I, then the slopes of those lines are bounded by some number. This is geometrically one can say for a real valid function defined on an interval. And this is a small observation. Every Lipschitz continuous function is uniformly continuous. So Lipschitz continuity is stronger than uniform continuity. And what is the Lipschitz constant for that? So if we start with the function which is Lipschitz with a constant Lipschitz constant k, which is positive, then we can choose delta as any number less than or any positive number less than epsilon by k. Then one can prove that every Lipschitz continuity is uniform continuity. And if you have a Lipschitz function with a constant, then it is a Lipschitz function on every subset with the same Lipschitz constant. And this is an example of a function which is not Lipschitz constant. So this function you take x square over the interval 0 to infinity, you will not be able to get a constant k. So as this function on the unbounded set 0 to infinity, which is not Lipschitz, whereas if you restrict the domain to a subset 0 to b, where b is positive, on this interval this function becomes Lipschitz. And one can also prove the composition of two Lipschitz continuous function is again Lipschitz continuous. And there is an example for a function which is uniformly continuous but not Lipschitz. So this is an example. G of x is equal to root x on the interval 0 to 1. By using the uniform continuity theorem, because G is continuous on the compact set, this G is uniformly continuous on the set I. But this function is not Lipschitz